Imagine a mountain of money. $100 bills stacked so high, it dwarfs skyscrapers. But this isn't money we have. It's money we owe. Global debt. As of early 2026, the world owes over $315 trillion. That's trillion with a T. It's a number so massive it's almost impossible to grasp. This isn't just a statistic for economists. It's your student loan, your credit card bill, your parents' mortgage, Apple's loans, and the US government's IOUs, all piled together. Every debt, from $20 to trillions, adds to this colossal, ever-growing mountain, and it's getting bigger, by thousands of dollars every second. Debt is the engine oil of modern capitalism. Borrowing isn't just common, it's essential. But what happens when the engine starts to sputter, or when the tank runs dry? Let's break down what this giant pile of debt really means, because it's not just about numbers, it's about power. Who gets to borrow, who has to pay, and who makes the rules. This is a game played at 3 levels, or echelons, with completely different rules for each. For some, debt is a crushing weight. For others, it's a powerful tool. And for a select few, it's the system itself. The story of global debt is happening in your wallet right now. So let's dive in and see how this mountain shapes our world. Welcome to the biggest financial story you've never really seen. If the world owes $315 trillion, who's on the other side? The answer: we owe it to each other. Your savings are someone else's loan. A company's bond is a pension fund's asset. China's US Treasury bonds are America's debt. It's a tangled web of financial promises, like a group chat where everyone owes everyone. Most money isn't printed, it's created when banks issue loans. Type a number and poof, new money exists. But it's really just credit, a promise to pay back. For every dollar of debt, there's a dollar of assets. If we all paid off our debts tomorrow, a huge chunk of the world's assets would vanish. The system needs debt to function, but the scale now threatens to break it. Debt is the accelerator, but we're speeding toward a wall. The money didn't go anywhere. It was created as a promise. The real question: who gets to make those promises, and on what terms? To answer that, let's look at the 3 echelons of debt. Meet Sarah, an average person; Javier, a tech billionaire; and the sovereign, the government. Each plays by different rules. Let's start at the bottom, where the weight is heaviest. This is where debt feels most real and most punishing. The game is rigged differently for each player. Let's see how. Meet Sarah, a graphic designer with a decent job, and a heavy load of debt. Her student loans, credit cards, and car loan are like iron anvils she drags every month. Interest makes those anvils grow, no matter how hard she works to pay them down. For Sarah, debt is a burden that shapes her choices and limits her freedom. Miss a payment, her credit score drops, making future borrowing even harder. Default, and the consequences are severe. Debt collectors, wage garnishment, repossession. Her debt is expensive. Credit card interest at 22% means she pays far more than she borrowed. This is bad debt. It doesn't build wealth, just pays for past emergencies or expenses. The system makes it easy to get into debt, but painfully hard to escape. For Sarah, debt is a cage, not a ladder. She's forced to borrow for education, transportation, and emergencies. Education, transportation, emergencies. The financial system profits from her struggle. Her interest payments are the product. Every rung on the ladder is greased with high rates and fees. She climbs, but slipping is always a risk. For people like Sarah, debt is a daily battle. The rules are strict, the penalties harsh. Strict rules. Harsh penalties. Her relationship with debt is adversarial. It's her versus the anvil every single day. The system is designed to keep her climbing but never quite free. That's Echelon 1. Now meet Javier, a tech billionaire. For him, debt isn't a burden, it's a rocket ship. He borrows not out of necessity, but to amplify his wealth. Need $50 million to invest? He doesn't sell assets and pay taxes. He takes out a low-interest loan against his stocks. This is a securities-backed loan, with rates as low as 2% because his assets are collateral. He gets cash, tax-free, while his investments keep growing. His company does the same. Need $1 billion for a new data center? Issue corporate bonds. Investors lend. The company pays tax-deductible interest, and the government subsidizes the debt. For Javier, Debt is leverage, a tool to make more money with other people's money. If things go south, corporate shields and bankruptcy laws protect him. The rules are built for him. Low rates, tax breaks, legal protections. Debt is a key to a bigger kingdom, not a cage. He uses debt to build assets, not just survive. The system rewards his risk-taking and shields him from personal ruin. For Javier, debt is a strategic advantage. He plays the game on easy mode. That's Echelon 2. The same tool that crushes Sarah lifts Javier higher. The difference is in the rules. At the top is the sovereign, the government. The US national debt is over 34 trillion, more than the entire economy produces in a year. If Sarah or Javier ran their finances this way, they'd be bankrupt. But for governments, the rules are different. The government borrows by issuing treasury, bonds, the world's safest investment. Why? Because it can always raise taxes or, crucially, print more money. The Federal Reserve can create new dollars to buy government debt and keep interest rates low. When tax revenue falls short, the government just sells more bonds. Buyers include pension funds, foreign governments, and the Fed itself. This lets the government spend without raising taxes. Just borrow and roll over the debt indefinitely. But printing money has a cost. Inflation, more dollars mean each one is worth less. Prices rise and your savings buy less. Inflation is a hidden tax, shifting the burden to regular people like Sarah. For the sovereign, debt isn't a burden or a tool. It's the operating system. The government shapes the rules for everyone below. Its power is nearly limitless, until inflation bites back. That's Echelon 3. Put Sarah, Javier, and the sovereign side by side. The rules are wildly different. Sarah plays checkers, simple, rigid, and one wrong move can ruin her. Javier plays chess, complex, strategic, with powerful pieces and legal shields. The sovereign owns the board, writes the rules, and can change them at will. For Sarah, debt is personal and punishing. The system protects lenders, not her. For Javier, debt is buffered by wealth, low rates, and corporate protections. For the sovereign, default is almost impossible. It can print money to pay bills, shifting pain to the public through inflation. The legal system, interest rates, and even the definition of debt change at each level. The same word, debt, means something entirely different depending on your echelon. The rules aren't just different, they're self-created at the top. That's the real game. Picture a set of scales. For Sarah, debt is a weight pressing her down. Every dollar borrowed means more work to stay afloat. Interest adds pebbles to her side, making it harder to balance. She's always fighting the weight, hoping not to be crushed. For Javier, debt is leverage. He uses a little of his own wealth to borrow much more, buying assets that lift his side of the scale. His engine is designed to make debt feel weightless. For the sovereign, the scale is rigged. When debt gets heavy, it just inflates the currency, making everyone's weights lighter, but also less valuable. Inflation erodes savings, especially for people like Sarah. The debt system creates two realities. For most, it's a trap. For the wealthy, it's a tool. The same loan can be a burden or a vehicle, depending on who holds it. For the bottom 90%, it's about surviving the weight. For the top, it's about mastering leverage. And for the government, it's about managing the whole system, often to the benefit of those already winning. The divide is built into the rules. That's the great debt divide. This three-tiered system didn't just happen, it was designed. The rules that let Javier use debt to build wealth were written and lobbied for. The laws that trap Sarah in student loans were deliberate choices. The Federal Reserve's power to buy government debt is a strategy, not an accident. Why is corporate debt tax deductible, but personal credit card interest isn't? That's policy. The system rewards asset owners and penalizes wage earners. The result, the rich get richer, the indebted stay trapped. Corporations want cheap loans, investors want safe assets, and governments want to spend without raising taxes. The system is working exactly as intended, for those at the top. The outcomes aren't bugs, they're features. The rules are written to produce this divide. Why care about $315 trillion in global debt? Because it shapes your life. It sets the cost of your education, your mortgage rate, the value of your savings, and the price of groceries. Understanding the system is the first step to navigating, and maybe changing it. Sarah's struggle isn't personal failure, It's a feature of the system. Why is her interest rate 22% while a billionaire pays 2%? Why does inflation eat your paycheck? The problem isn't debt itself, but the unequal rules. The debt echelon you're in depends more on the rule book than your effort. This is about fairness. Do we want an economy with a VIP lounge for the wealthy and a treadmill for everyone else? The pile keeps growing, the scales stay tilted. Understanding the game is the first step to changing the rules.